Welcome, everybody, to Tip of the Spear Veterans Roundtable. How is everybody doing? I'm Willis, host of Homefront Sit Rep. Hopefully, everybody had a good day and a great start of the week, and happy hump day. Miss Tab Bartley, how are you, my dear?
I am good, recovering from last week, but good.
Awesome, awesome. Miss Carol Lee, how are you?
Doing really well. I'm just enjoying the weather. It's not overly hot today, so I'm happy.
Miss Candace, how are you?
I'm good. Good.
Awesome, awesome.
And yeah,
So,
enjoy this weather.
it's been a month since our last show, last Tip of the Spear. We got some guys that are busy. They're not able to make it tonight, but hopefully somebody will jump on here in a little bit. I'm excited about tonight's episode because I get to hang out with pretty much a Marine centric group here. We're all related to Marine somehow in some way. Um,
He's excited about it, but he's scared because he's surrounded by women tonight.
It's all
but
women. That's
but
right.
no. See, that's where you're wrong.
He's begging
I'm-
for those guys to jump on.
Nah. It's one of those things. It's we with a podcast, we did that whole month where we highlighted nothing but female service organizations and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
my mom was my hero. She still is. I don't want to say she's not, but she's my hero. I grew up in a house full of women, so being surrounded by women, it doesn't really bother me none. So I'm not intimidated at all. I just know how to respect. I just know how to respect.
You're still in a house full of women.
I was about to say that. It hasn't changed, has it?
No, it hasn't, and you are correct. So it's just me and my dog Waylon, and then we're outnumbered 4-2. So it is what it is. I'm a Marine. I adapt and I overcome. So
There you
It's
go.
he's normal. It's what he's used to.
it is normal. I don't know. So my kids are getting older. I got a 17-year-old and I got a 15-year-old, and my oldest will be getting ready to be going to be a senior in high school next year. And they're already talking about flying the coop. Of course, my oldest is going to go in the Air Force, and then my youngest, when she graduates, she's going to go into the Army and be a combat medic. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. And so we'll see how it all plays out. But no, we're a collective of veteran podcasters that talk about current events within the military and veteran communities, and then we also talk about things that are going around the world globally. So Miss Tab, I'm gonna start with you because you recently was up on the Hill, and
Yes.
I know this is something going back into the female aspect of things within the military community. So tell everybody a little bit about what you got to be part of the last week.
Yeah, so I got to go on Capitol Hill and meet with a bunch of senators and in the House and just different elected officials with the Military Reform Coalition, which is a coalition of different veteran organizations, different advocates, and we were talking about, military reform and sexual assault in the military, which, it's not just a woman's issue by any means. Sexual assault in the military is males and females. So while I was in the Marine Corps, I was a sexual assault victim advocate was one of my additional duties. And so when this opportunity came through Minority Veterans of America to go and kind of share our stories and talk about it, I really wanted the opportunity because, recently the command's no longer handling the NJPs, but there's still a lot of oversight that needs to happen. And from the FY22 annual report, we're at the highest numbers we've ever been when it comes to sexual assault. And so we were asking our elected officials to continue to demand that, there's accountability, there's all of these things, and to kind of help change the perception from military sexual assault or military sexual trauma to this is workplace violence. I feel like in one of the topics that we had talked about, it feels like such a norm now. It's been made a norm to where people assume, at least, and I don't know if this is anybody else's experience, but I remember when I got in the Marine Corps and, say I'm a female in the Marine Corps, like one of the first things people say are like, oh, were you assaulted? How how is that the first thing you see? You know what I mean? And so
Right.
if that's
I mean, why is that naturally assumed? I mean, I look at it in the civilian side of the world, and I'll be upfront and honest right now. Like, I've been sexually assaulted many times, and it's not military trauma, but nobody goes around and says, "Oh, you did this job. Were you assaulted? Were you sexually assaulted?" So why does that apply to women in the military? That's the first question. Oh,
and
were you sexually assaulted? Like, why is that okay?
and that's like part of the conversation too. It's like, okay, have we normalized then in trying to address this? Have we normalized it too much in regards to calling it military sexual trauma instead of
Right.
what it is, which is workplace violence?
Agreed.
And have we, has that kind of caused us to see it not so much as like, we see it so commonplace. It's an issue, but it shouldn't be viewed as commonplace, if that makes sense. Like, it shouldn't be something we're comfortable with.
Right.
And that was like the perception of like, one of the things we had talked about, but it was a positive experience in regards to it really did feel like they were listening to us, and we had a variety of, service members who had a variety of different experiences and different levels. And to hear the power of somebody sharing their story and being vulnerable enough to say that they were raped, to be vulnerable enough to say that my command failed me, my command, it did nothing for me, but they protected the other individual. To hear those stories over and over, I mean, this is 2 full days on the Hill repeating these stories to different individuals. I just applaud all of those who were a part of it, because it's, I said I was recovering. It was like I got back and it was like, dang, to reprocess all of that. It was just a lot.
Right. So here's, like, from what I've heard, and military personnel, females that have experienced military sexual trauma, why is that treated so differently than rape in the civilian world? Why is it that they feel this need to protect somebody in that? And it always tends to not, unfortunately, be the female.
It's the culture. I mean, to be honest, it's the culture. And in one of the conversations, and this is not saying that every service member is a perpetrator, okay? That is not the thing, because I think that there is an issue with rape and sexual assault in our entire country, not just in the military. That, I mean, there is, but there is I think the story I heard over and over was how, and it was specifically to Marines, when the commands were in charge of the NJPs and they were addressing it, this Marine kept telling the story where when she was a senior enlisted, and the commanding officer is, asking about the situation, asking about the whatever. And the sergeant major, the first thing that they say is, well, he's really good at his job. He's a good Marine. But he just raped somebody. That doesn't matter. Right. And so there is this cultural where, my personal experience, I was always surrounded by phenomenal Marines. And the times that I was harassed, I never had to stand up for myself. It was the Marines around me who were like, whoa, what is this? And so I think it's having the conversation, because oftentimes, although the Marine Corps and the military is like, know yourself, seek self-improvement, this is something that they just don't want to address, I think, as wholeheartedly. And again, when the punishment of it went through the command, it was easier to hide things. And that has changed, but it's only been a few months. We don't have like reporting in place or like oversight in place of like, well, how is this going? And it was like let's see, the report in 2021, it was over 35,875 service members experienced unwanted sexual contact.
I guess what completely baffles me with them not wanting to care for it the way that it should be cared for, or taken care of the way nationwide. And for how many years now has the biggest thing been the 22 and taking care of the mental health of our military and our first responders? Like, that's what is so running like wildfire just over the past couple of years, which it should have always been, and it should always be, is taking care of this mental health. But you're looking at that is one of the top causes of the breakdown of the mental health, unfortunately primary of women of the military, but it's not something that any woman should go through, military or not, period.
Yeah. And when we're talking like, so male sexual assault victims oftentimes do not acknowledge it as sexual assault. They compartmentalize it as hazing.
Mhm.
And so you have these incidences where men in the military have been sexual assaulted, and whether it is to cope with it, whether it is to whatever, they oftentimes will identify it as hazing.
Mhm.
And you can tell a lot in a command how the command climate is by how many, and this isn't like a 100%, but normally if you look at a command climate survey and a command climate has like a very bad survey, you'll see that they'll have more restricted reports than unrestricted reports. Now, I'm an advocate for restricted reports. I think that you should be able to access whatever care you think you need and not have to like just be able to get the help you need. And it shouldn't be that everybody knows about it, because that's not, what everybody wants. But you can normally find such a high correlation between the command climate and those restricted and unrestricted reports. And then that's like kind of the issue. It's like instead of a few good men, it's a few bad individuals that really like feed that. And then the fear of like being reprimanded or not being believed. And again, men, it's a whole nother dynamic of, I think, like, why, especially if you're in the military, like, why didn't you fight it? Why didn't you do this? And so I think there's so much around sexual assault and like sexual trauma and all of that we just don't talk about in general, not just in the military. And then, as you were saying, we're talking that mental health. Well, it's physical health too. You look at how many service members have pelvic floor injuries. So when you have trauma, it is stored in your pelvic floor, and especially when it is sexual trauma. And you look at the numbers of hernia, like umbilical hernia that people get, different like hernias in males that they get. And I'm not saying everybody who has this issue experienced sexual assault by any means, but there's a trend of
or vice
these
versa.
injuries.
Yeah.
Correct. And there's a trend. And sometimes it doesn't happen immediately following. It can be years later. It can be during their transition when everything is now falling down, which I know it's something we've talked about, Willis, with mental health, how you seem to be able to push, and then you get to the transition and all of a sudden it's just like everything at once. So I think that there are so many things. I don't think that it's here's a one easy solution, but it's things like this where we're conversing. And I think us veterans have, and those civilian counterparts, we have to be as vocal as possible, because we just don't have the same ramifications, right? So we can be vocal on things, and we should. And that's where things like the Military Reform Coalition, what they're doing, I think is so important, because it's not active duty having to fight for themselves or worry about what the repercussions are going to be.
Right, from the chain of command. And
exactly.
Because unfortunately, in the military, whatever branch you were in, it was always the good old boy network, and they cared about their the senior enlisted and whoever, and they swept it underneath the rug a lot of times. Luckily for me, when I was in the military, I was infantry, so I didn't see females unless I went to dental or something like that. So I never had to, handle a situation where a female cohort was sexually traumatized. Now, we did have some in the headquarters that there were some issues that went on then, but I didn't, being a junior Marine at the time, I didn't have to see any of that. And I love the fact that now the reporting of it and the punishment of it is outside of command.
Agreed.
And I think any kind of incident that happens in the military should be outside of command. It shouldn't just be related to sexual trauma. It should be if a Marine goes out in town, he gets in a fight and stuff like that. I think it should be a whole different entity that investigates all incidents on base, off base, or whatever. That's my personal opinion on it. I was talking with me and Candace was talking with Michelle Black.
Yeah, so we just had this conversation.
So her husband was a Green Beret. He died in an ambush in Nigeria, and there was, when they came back and they were talking to her, the command lied to her, and she spent numerous hours trying to get the truth. And I don't think she got the full truth, but she's got most of the truth of what happened. But it was because they were trying to save a high-ranking officer's career, so they were trying to sweep it underneath the rug. And it's just like, come on, you can't be doing things like that. So
Yeah, so you're disrespecting the life of another.
Right.
Because
To protect
who's to
somebody,
say
yeah.
that if that man didn't stay alive, that he wouldn't be as high ranking or farther later in his career? How can you judge that? How can you just judge that this life is not worth this career? I'm sorry. That's talk about disrespecting our flag and our service members.
yeah,
They gave it all, and you're still disrespecting them because you want to save somebody's career. Well, maybe that person in that position should have thought about that
before they fucked up.
Right? Accountability? Does that not? No?
I mean, hello.
Hey.
Miss Carol Lee, you've been awful quiet down there.
I'm just listening, and I'm relating a lot of this to even those who are, sitting still in medical, and just thinking it's really not regulated well at all. And I think across the board, I agree with you, Willis, as far as the good old boy system. It's not gone. Maybe it's not as bad as it used to be, but really, females, in a man's military, if you will, they're going to protect the males because that's, how they are in their mindset, because males are stronger, and they can do in their mind a lot more than females can. We're weaker in a lot of people's minds. So it's just an automatic knee-jerk reaction, and it's unfortunate that that's the mindset.
Yeah.
And I've been in commands. Obviously, both of my commands were phenomenal, at least in my direct chain of command, where there was so many things that I didn't have to experience that I know so many of my female peers did experience. And there were so many. So I remember back in, I think it was 2017, when the Marine Corps was really getting hit for the sexual assaults. I mean, really, this is wild what was being said in Facebook groups, and just the disrespect. And I posted on Facebook, and I ran the educators workshop. So I had a lot of educators who were my friends on Facebook, the CO, everybody in the command at that time was friends with me on Facebook. And I posted how the Marine Corps had an issue. And I shared my story about how all of these male Marines had always stepped in for me, all of these things. And at the end of the day, although I loved the Marine Corps and would still say, I would still suggest somebody to learn about the Marine Corps, and it would potentially be a good fit even for females, but that the Marine Corps had some serious issues, and that I wasn't going to be quiet about it, and that we shouldn't be quiet about it, and we should address it. And I had this gunny, and I was a corporal at the time, had this gunny come into my office, start yelling at me, you think it's appropriate, blah, blah, blah. I mean, just off. And I'm just what is this? And I let him keep going, and I'm like, Gunny, can you go talk to the XO and the CO, because they liked the post. So maybe you should go take this up with them. Just trying to pull rank. It's, you can talk about how the military needs to improve and still be for the military, and still you know what I mean? That's not blasphemy. It's not a secret. The numbers are out there. The things are happening. People can say all sorts of things on social media, but you don't want to say anything to that. You know what I mean? And it was just such a weird, I hadn't experienced it. Luckily, that was the only time I would say I really experienced that. It was a one-off, because every other time I feel at least the people around me were all yeah, this is an issue. This is unacceptable. There's things that military dark humor is one thing, but at some point, jokes aren't jokes, right? Or conversations, or if people are uncomfortable, that's where it starts, and that's where you have to start knocking that knocking that shit off and calling people out, because that's, at least in the Marine Corps, I think that's the way to do it. Like,
Yeah.
you
Well,
just bash it at the beginning of things.
Right. Don't let it drag on. But when you have those who are in the higher command and they're the ones doing that, you lead by example. And that's where I see a lot of these issues continue to progress. And as far as it has, as many years as it has, because it's old habits, right? So,
And I
yeah.
think one of the crazy things too, and I didn't realize this, like, so the SAPR program currently doesn't have to include numbers in its report. So they
oh,
don't have to include numbers. And then if you look at like restricted reporting, you don't know the details. So like those numbers are kind of like washy anyway, but it's just like, where is the accountability?
yeah.
No, I agree. I agree with Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, there needs to be a lot more accountability within the military, overall, depending on, not even depending on the situation. It just needs to be overall accountability
Yep.
regardless. And that's kind of where, you guys are on the hill and you're pushing for this to be outside of the chain of command, out to an outside command. That way there's accountability. And that's kind of what Michelle Black is going to be doing when she's up on the hill, and she's going to be, with her situation with her husband. The command took over and basically try to sweep it underneath the rug. Well, she's fighting that. She's going to go to DC and she's going to fight that on the Hill, because
Good.
it needs to be outside of command. If an incident happened with 2nd Battalion, 8th Marines, then somebody outside of 2nd Battalion, 8th Marines needs to fix that. And not even the same, like not even 8th Marine Division, because
Correct.
everybody knows everybody. So it needs to go to like 1-6 or 2-6 or something of that nature, where they're looking into, they're investigating, or the military just needs to come up with a whole different
Branch.
Well, even civilian, having civilians take a look at it, like a contracted whatever to
Yeah, I was
send
kind of
them
thinking
to.
that, or like a whole different MOS within each branch. That's what they focus on. Have your JAG lawyers and stuff like that, and have that. They're the ones that do the investigations, not the command.
No, I mean, but I feel like you still run into the same thing. Like even, Carolee, if you're looking at the civilian world, it's like, is there anywhere that's actually taken care of properly or being looked at the right way and being like,
The thing about
are
it,
we
Candace,
handling this correctly?
we all know, right? When you go to a restaurant and the food is good, how often do you put something out there to say this was a
Right.
great place?
Right.
You only hear about the problems. And so, I can't really obviously speak to how well it would work. But I'm sure that there are women as well as men who have had satisfaction, but maybe not anything that we will have heard of or heard about, just for that same reason.
Well, I mean, having experienced it, not to negate what you're saying, but to have satisfaction and result is
It's
really hard in that,
it
because
is.
you're looking at, if maybe it's being addressed better and feared more about the repercussions, maybe it wouldn't happen so often.
I agree with that. I think
Yep.
that is the assessment, is there is no fear of consequences.
Right.
But then you get out
Especially
into the
within the
civilian
military.
life, and what do you have, right? I mean, it's a never-ending problem in civilian world.
Yep. The difference is, in the military, we can ask our elected officials to ask for more oversight and to ask how are these
Which
are going,
is
and
true.
to demand responses and things. And it's not always legislation, right? Like that's the thing. When we went on the Hill this last week, we weren't asking for new legislation. We were asking them just for touch points, for confirmations, for this to be part of the conversations that they're having, that they have the authority to, when they ask for things, they get responses.
Right.
And so I think sometimes it is that too, that it's not always that like there needs to be a whole new policy or a whole new, you know, dog and pony show type thing, but actual like what is happening and give us a response.
Right.
Let us know that we're actually being heard.
Yep.
You know, and have different,
Yeah.
maybe different reactions even, because you know, you look at some of these victims and you look at it that way because they're victims, and then these victims are turned around and being threatened with dishonorable discharge or
Yes.
emotions, where you were already a victim and now you're looking at your livelihood being affected by something that you didn't pick for yourself. You didn't choose to be put in that situation. That's like telling a woman because she wore a cute dress out that she deserved it. So if you're a woman and you join the military, does that mean like you should have expected it? No, absolutely not.
And
Look,
that was,
I'm gonna start getting in trouble on these monthly podcasts because like we're
no, but that was the thing. Like one of the storytellers, she was like, it came to the point where I wish that I hadn't even told.
right.
I wish that I hadn't even told. Can you and
Because it would have been easier to deal with one trauma rather than multiple.
And then let me add this. So if you are a reservist, you have to pay for your birth control. You have to copay. You don't get it like completely off the books. And so the man who raped her, he gets his ED pills and all this stuff because he got honorably discharged for free. And she still has to pay for birth control. Like it's just wild. There's some of the things that are just so wild in the grand scheme of things. And it's just like, well, make it make sense, and you just can't.
Yeah, you can't make it make sense, unfortunately. And I'm hoping and praying that the laws and regulations is going to get better in the future. I think it's getting there. It's just taking its sweet ass time. So,
and I do say that too, because I do feel like there are just individuals who are willing to share. I think now too, there's a lot more male survivors who experienced it, and I'll say like older veterans who are now talking about it. And I think that honestly offers like some serious power, because again, I think most oftentimes that the men, it's not even first viewed as sexual assault. You know, it's viewed as something else, and so they. I don't want to say they go through more steps, but kind of, because one of the comments we got was, you know, why are there only females on the Hill? And it's like, there weren't male storytellers who were ready. They weren't at that point in their journey to share their stories that often, because that's the thing.
Right.
When you share it, it can be re-traumatizing, or hearing other people's stories can be re-traumatizing.
And the double standard of being a man as well.
And that's what I said.
Assaulted, like it's, you're not only dealing with the fact that it happened to you, but you're also like emasculated as well, because people are looking at you going, how could you let that happen to you? Like, you're a man. Hello. Like that's not possible. Like you wanted it, right? And you know, it's like Brian said here, and it's so hard because you're trying to focus on, you know, military sexual assault, but you're also dealing with this other issue over here and this issue over here. And it's like, you have people that care, but how do you bring that in to take care of all of the issues? And you can't take care of one at a time because there's so many problems. There's so many problems. But yeah, like it's such, you know, I think it's horrible that it happens to women. I think it's absolutely horrible it happens to women. I've lived it. I've lived it 6 different times. I've lived it. And you look at a man who is sexually assaulted, and it's crazy. Like me personally, you know, I've dated a man that was sexually assaulted. I have my daughter's friends. One of them actually just stopped by and saw me today. He was sexually assaulted many times as a young boy and a teenager. And one of my daughter's closest friends was just roofied and sexually assaulted a week ago. Like, and he's a grown man. So, you know, not to take away from the military, but you're looking at these men, and the more you talk to them and have conversations where they may be willing to open up it happens more than what we think. Just like when women start talking to other women, it happens so much more and multiple times to the same people. So much more than what we realize. But it's such a, I love that people are starting to open up and tell their stories. But how many haven't? How many fear the judgment and especially men?
Yeah. And then you have the issue of when they go, so like what happened to me when you go to file your claim. Like I was diagnosed with PTSD. So then after being diagnosed and getting some treatment, I went to file. And the interviewer, instead of focusing on the trauma that happened in the military, got me hysterical on childhood trauma.
Right.
I didn't know anybody could go to the interview with me, got me hysterical, and then said, oh, it wasn't military trauma, it's previous trauma. And that is happening so often. And it's just like, you shouldn't even be asking about my childhood because none of that negates what somebody went through in the military. It doesn't like mean like, oh, now your trauma doesn't matter. No, I didn't have an issue with that.
Yeah,
that traumatic event from the military. Yeah, my childhood trauma didn't like mean that didn't happen. And so, like what you're saying, I think a lot of times with male too, because I mean, I've multiple men who things happened when they were children and they didn't even associate it with sexual assault, or
right,
or children in school who, and I hate this headline, and this is kind of off topic from the military, but how it'll say like male children, had sexual relations with their teacher. No, their teacher raped them. They were a child.
Yeah.
They could not give consent.
Right.
Period. It's not an argument. They were a child. They were raped.
I don't care if they said, yes, I wanted it or not. Like if they're not of age.
Child. Yeah.
Right. Right. No, that teacher was a pedophile. Period. Yep. And it's not okay. But I mean, like talking about men and getting them to talk about sexual assault. Look how hard it is for men to talk about just mental health on its own. Like, and then to bring up something so sensitive and biased towards women. Like I can't imagine. And like I said, I have very close people around me that have happened, males. And I look at how hard it is for them mentally just to, the two kids I'm talking about, and I say kids, but they're in their 20s. To me, they're still kids. They grew up with my daughter, but for them to be comfortable enough to talk to me about it as one of their second moms and watching them break down physically, mentally, and not understand, but also like, unfortunately, it gives them this different appreciation for, and that's a horrible term to say, but for when it happens to women and they're like, okay, like almost their opinion changes about it. Like where they're like, oh, why didn't you fight that off? Well, have you ever heard of fight or flight? Like, hello, you, like sometimes you freeze, like, and there's nothing you can do about that, no matter how strong you are, or like none of that matters when something so heinous is happening. You're not only dumbfounded and surprised and traumatized, like, so you're supposed to think in all of that process, like, here, let me do this. Right. Okay. Especially if you are looking at a hazing situation, and you have multiple people around you, you're supposed to fight that. You're just supposed to fight that. It works, right? That's the answer. Fight it. Don't dress that way.
Off topic too of the military sexual assault, it's coming out more and more about actors and actresses that have gone through it. Some that I was shocked when I learned. And this is, I'm talking the big, bulky, beefed up guys sexually assaulted.
Yeah.
So it's not, that's our society, right? It's sad, but it's true. And it's a matter of, I don't even know.
Yeah. Well, it happens a lot in Hollywood too. You got all these female celebrities that are coming out, and then now you're getting these male celebrities that are coming out as well, because you know, a lot of these directors and stuff that are in highfalutin positions.
Photographers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, well, if you want to get ahead, you need to get in on your knees or whatever. And it's our whole society in a whole is jacked up, and I think it needs an overhaul all the way around. So, but let's move on to a little bit
Lighter.
lighter terms.
Yeah.
So, Miss Carol Lee, we're going to talk about. Do you guys know where the term military brat came from?
Who are you? You said you guys. Who are you asking? You guys.
Anybody
Right?
that's on here, people in chat, and you guys on the screen.
Oh.
Does anybody know where the term military brat came from?
Yeah. So if you know, put it out there in the chat. So we want to hear what your ideas are of this.
I mean, it's pretty neat where the term actually came from, because you know everybody uses it. Oh, I'm a military brat, because you know their dad or mom was in the military and they grew up, you know, moving from base to base and stuff like that. It's pretty cool where the term actually comes from. Miss Carol Lee actually found this and sent it to me the other day. For tonight was one of the hot topics we were going to talk about. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw it out there.
No, you're not even giving them like 15 more seconds. Come on, somebody answer.
Somebody answer. If you know, answer. Anyway, I want to give a shout out to Brian Roof. Brian is the host of Every Day's a Saturday podcast. He came on and he's gracing our comments out there right now. I was hoping he would jump on and talk with us for a little bit, but he said he's got to go. Ron Wayne says, I didn't know they serve bratwurst and chows. All right. So time's up. I should have put like a countdown, like
right. Little Jeopardy song.
Jeopardy. So do you want to answer this, Miss Carol Lee, or do you want me to take it?
I can.
Go for it.
Actually is an acronym. And it was British Regiment Attached Traveler.
Oh.
And I know. And it was assigned to families who traveled with a British soldier in pre-World War I, often noted with the acronym BRAT.
That is cool.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty neat.
Interesting.
And then there's also another term, barrack rat. Of course, if you're in the military, in the Marines, we had a different word for barracks rat. But this was also used in the UK in the 1900s when discussing the lives of children in army barracks. I was like, oh, that's pretty neat. So it's referenced in a play called The Recruiting Officer, published. But no, I thought that was pretty cool that, you know, the term military brat came from the British back early on in way back when.
And it's funny how we've turned that terminology into something else.
Right.
Yeah.
But, you know, Americans do that with everything foreign, right? We make it our own.
Yeah.
And yes, Ron, the more you know.
for sure. And then here's one we got. Army captain gives up his rank to enlist in the Marine Corps.
Straight crazy.
Yeah,
when I read that headline, I was like, what?
I know. Right? Marines go to Army. Why would you? No. My
son went from Army to Marines.
I know. I really think the truth is he went and tasted some crowns.
He probably had the purple ones.
I mean,
yeah, right.
Is that the good one?
So
Black
he was
licorice.
So he was a former Army captain. Nicholas Brokler poses for a photo at recruiting substation Killeen, Fort Worth, Texas.
He had just got promoted, right?
I believe so. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
He
that
says,
pay cut, does he know what he is up against? Like, that was honestly a captain in the, like, I don't know how you can live. I mean, most junior service
I'm
members can't
so
live.
baffled right now.
I am. Like, we're on
But-
food stamps. You want to be on food stamps? Like,
but I wonder what rank they gave him. You know, with him being an Army captain.
They
but
said
it
he
doesn't-
started all
he
over.
went enlisted.
Yeah.
He
he's-
probably got PFC out of boot
Hmm.
camp. That was it. And then maybe Lance Corporal if he recruits some people and does RA. But like, he went enlisted.
Well,
Yeah,
this is
He can't jump
he went to
rank.
boot camp in January.
Yeah.
so this I'm gonna post what this is his comment. I'm gonna post it into the chat.
Ron, what's your favorite flavor?
So he said, I was kind of at a point in my life in the Army where I didn't feel really fulfilled. So it was either get out and go to the civilian world, and to be honest, I did not want to do that. I felt like my time in the service wasn't over. I just felt like I needed a change in my environment.
I just can't rationale that. The pay. Why didn't you go officer? Like,
it
what
also
is he in the
says
Marine Corps?
that
He
the
didn't have
fact
the same fight as you, Tab. He didn't
I
have
just-
the same fight.
Yeah, I just don't understand. I can't.
also says the fact that as a commissioned officer, he was willing to start over as an enlisted serviceman to reboot his military career makes his case rare. However, it wasn't unheard of. So
Right.
after World War I, British Army Colonel T.E. Lawrence ended his military career by serving as an enlisted soldier and airman in the Royal Air Force. So it does happen.
Yeah.
And kudos to this individual, really, because to recognize where you're at and where you want to go and recognize what paths are available to you at any given moment, I think that's great. It's, he easily could have said, nope, I'm done, I'm out.
But
You know what I just realized, Willis?
what?
Carolee is a much better storyteller than you. And she would be great at reading stories to children or even Marines. There's this really good book she told me about. What's it called, Carolee?
No. Okay.
You said
Okay.
one a show.
I will actually, but if I do one, I've got to do two. So
Yeah.
to be fair. All right.
Yep.
Tab, get ready to laugh, Tab.
I don't know what's going on.
You
I
will,
am
that's
just
all right.
anticipation.
So a couple of books that I have had veterans write and send me copies. The first one is by Lee Allen Deckelman, and it is called Internal Volume. Great read. That is his story. And he, oh my gosh, let's see, where is it? Former Green Beret, Airborne Ranger, security contractor, combat veteran, 9/11, NR paramedic, and federal officer.
She's
So
going to
that's
use
his-
her internal volume to read the title of the next one.
Yeah, right. And the next one, oh my gosh. Okay. The next one is called, you ready, Candace? She's all excited. It's called The Perfect Fucking Life. And that is by Jason Lee Morrison. Great guy. I know. This is the only time I cuss.
Look at Tab. Unmute, Tab. We got to hear it. Unmute.
He's on his second book. I don't know what the title of that one will be.
I can't wait for it to
But
come out.
I know. So there you have it. Hopefully I've made your day, Candace.
Absolutely. And so with that funny, I do have to look. I had to go change.
That
Okay.
is awesome.
And I was showing my cup because it says OFP. And if you know what OFP stands for,
Yep.
Hmm?
that
Own
is like my life
program.
motto. Own fucking program.
Yep.
Well, hey,
Yep.
speaking
Well,
of
you have special, Willis.
Speaking of OFP, there's a Marine Corps comedian, Brandon Johnston, out of South Carolina. His comedy is the OFP comedy. So you need to.
I need to
look-
find him.
Yes.
Brandon Johnston is his name. Matter of fact, I will connect you and him via text message. We
Oh,
can do
thank
that.
you.
I apologize. I totally squirreled us off of that subject, but I was
You
listening.
did,
to
and
Willis
I just
read.
rolled with it.
I know, but Willis was reading
Adapt and
something.
overcome.
Yeah, and then Carol Lee started
Learn
reading.
something from my Marines.
I was like, I could sit and listen to her read for hours. So, but yeah, silly army man went into the Marines, like, and to be a grunt, to be an infantry grunt.
Well, he does say here, he told the Marines he hopes to earn his commission and become a Marine infantry officer. So here's my thing.
But why?
Right? If
Why?
if he's already an officer in the Army, why couldn't he just like get out and go through Marine Corps OCS and become an officer from day one? Other than the fact that he wants to earn the title of Marine, because Marine Corps
The
officers
Marines do not let you have to go through boot all over again. I mean, Killian, he had to go all the way. When he went from Army into Marine, there's like they don't give him an option. It seems like
no.
Well, I don't think Marine Corps officers go through boot camp though. They
go through OCS, but that's how they earn their Eagle Globe and Anchor. They aren't given it. It's not, you're still earning it. And what's unique to the Marine Corps to every other branch is our officers are all trained by senior enlisted drill instructors, and that's different than every other branch of service. And so it rationally doesn't make sense to me, because if he had gone to OCS, he would have still been getting trained by enlisted Marines.
Right.
And how old are you? That, like, I'm sitting here the whole time. How old are you? Like, when are you gonna meet the age cutoff? Like, you're not gonna be able to be an officer
for what, 4 or 6 years or something. But
he's
wasn't
young here,
there this crazy guy that went through to do Navy SEALs, Green Beret, Rangers? Like, there was one that went through all the branches to do the specialty things. Like, I remember reading a story on it, and see,
he looks young.
He does.
He looks very young.
I have so many more questions. Maybe I'm a negative Nancy or something. I don't know, but I just have more like questions of like what I just don't understand.
I was like, do you know how hard it was for me to fight to be equal in the Marines and this school?
Yeah, it don't make me sense.
I think it's great, and definitely wish him luck in
for sure
success
on that. Yeah,
so, I'll have to figure out who that one is I'm talking about. But he went through all the different branches to be like the specialty things, and went through the training. It's like one of 2 people that's ever done it. I'm gonna have to find it.
It's crazy. It's crazy. All right, so let's move on to the next one. This one I thought is pretty cool. Headline was 2 Marines are out to bring literature of war to foxholes.
That was really cool.
I thought that was pretty cool. That, and I think one's a reservist.
Yeah.
Let's see. One was a reservist.
One's active.
And then one was an active duty lieutenant colonel.
You know what's shocking to me? Go ahead. Sorry. Doesn't it feel like I'm sitting right next to you anyways?
You're about to be fired.
Let's go. Come on.
So
I should do it on my monthly one too.
Plunkett is a former Marine reservist, while Tom Schumann is an active duty lieutenant colonel. They started an Instagram page, an Instagram account called Lit of War. And it pretty quickly took off like fire. And they posted book covers, quotes, and author bios for war focused books that they believed a younger active duty audience would benefit from. I think it's pretty neat that that they did that.
It is. What shocks me is how much that was spreading, and how they were talking about wanting to reach 50 platoons is what they were going for.
Something like that.
Platoons or battalions. But that they've only hit 15. I'm shocked I'm shocked that that's all they've gotten with that. I think like all of us need to have them on our podcast and go, hey, like let's do.
That's not a bad idea. Maybe we should all reach out to them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They say we're really happy to
some book drives for them. Like, let's get them in and get them sent. Let's make that 50 happen.
here's one here. It says, after seeing the interest on Instagram grow, Plunkett held a good old-fashioned book drive last year to provide free books to service members. It went so well that Plunkett, South Carolina apartment filled up with about 400 donated books. He packed them in bunches of 100 and shipped them out to different platoons. That's pretty.
But then,
neat
unfortunately, they didn't know, they couldn't track them to know what happened to those books as they went, as the soldiers transferred and what have you. So,
yeah, but they set up that new system to try to work on that.
They did forward. The Platoon Book Club Initiative.
It's cool. It's a neat thing, especially like you said in there, like the book doesn't have, the battery doesn't die. You're not looking for Wi-Fi. Like you pull that out of your ruck and you got something to entertain your brain and actually take some knowledge in on something, especially something that's a true story, in relating to somebody that is or was in the same situation that you are now or relatively close. So feeling that connection with what you're reading and the information that you're retaining. So I don't know. I think it's pretty cool, but I think that being able to really get that information out there for them, if all of us were to be able to bring them on, how quickly can you get to that 50 and then continue on after that? Because they had to top it off at 50 because they were worried about.
They had to top it off at 50 platoons. But they said they had so many
the request.
Had so
they're
many
looking to end up with a library.
I think it's friggin' neat.
Curly, go read that.
Yeah, I think it's really, really.
What do you want me to read?
So what Willis is trying to.
I don't know where Willis is at.
I was just
he's
scrolling
just looking,
through.
I think.
He starts to read and he stops because he's reading it.
Yeah, I'm just scrolling through the.
But it's really it's a neat idea.
The next one,
sure.
We know you didn't finish. They want to end up with like a veteran ran library to really like fulfill that.
Well, you brought the library up. I didn't even see that.
Well, you didn't scroll far enough. That's what I read earlier. Is that not in there, Carolee?
I can't say that I saw that. I actually did not see that. But that's not to say it wasn't in there. I was kind of, I was like Willis and scroll through.
Yeah, I was scrolling through. I've already moved
so much for stopping in. Have a great night.
It's the very last sentence.
That's why I skipped over it.
Their long-term goal is to build a library staffed by veterans that can curate literature of war for service members and anyone looking into the topic.
Excellent. Well, the Marine Corps, obviously, due to tradition, there's required reading or recommended reading of different books. And I'm sure that they have that for every branch of the military, different books depending upon what branch of the military you're in. But I think this is great that they've taken it upon themselves to do.
Yeah. Does anybody know that, like, depending on the branch, because we got 2 Marines here and one of them couldn't get into the Army and the other one doesn't understand why you would want to.
I have no idea if other branches have it. I know the Marine Corps has the Commandant's reading list and Sergeant Major's reading list and all these, books and things that you need to read in your career and that are discussed. But yeah, I have no idea if other branches are do that.
I'm trying to think of who all's on here. James, if you're still on here, you were Army. What was your requirement? I don't think he read a whole lot.
Well, I didn't have required reading when I was in, other than what was those things that we used to do?
Coloring books?
No, education. The Marine Corps.
I forget what they're called.
Yeah.
They're little red
MCAs?
books. Yeah, something like that. MCAs, something like that.
Little red
I can't even remember.
Yeah, they're like little books that you had to do, and you had to take a test on it, and you got to pass the course.
Yeah.
Military something course.
Did they have fill in the lines in there, like a picture book?
No.
Now you're talking Etch-a-Sketch. Knock it off.
With color, like those little wax things made of color.
Look, here, watch this.
Hey.
Uh-oh.
Well, see, and I remember all of us, like, we had to read like Message to Garcia, Warrior Ethos. Like, those are like the first few that I remember reading as like a PFC. So you have books for every rank in the Marine Corps that you're
Yes.
supposed to read at your rank. But it's not like you don't like write a report on it or
No.
anything
Yeah.
like. At least
My
my
daddy-
command, it was never like that.
I
Yeah,
think
Daddy just said
my
technical
son had to
No, there
actually
wasn't
write
technical
some
manuals.
kind of something, or at least give a verbal.
So we did the
oral
verbal. Yeah, we did the
Yeah.
discussions on it.
See, we didn't have, so when I was in from 97 to 01, we didn't have any like thing that we had to read or anything like that. Like being an infantry guy, they didn't tell us that we had to do any of that. So I don't know. Well, of course, we were always training anyway. So, but it was like a Marine Corps. I got some of the.
Marcus
I do
has
too.
technical manuals.
No, that's not what they're called.
Yeah, they're not technical. That might be
Maybe.
for Army.
No,
Marcus-
when you were in Willis, it was just 3 more clicks. It's just 3 more clicks. That's all you did.
Oh yeah, it's just right around the corner. Just right around the corner.
3 more clicks.
So all these articles that we're reading so far have been from taskandpurpose.com. So you can go check them out there.
Mhm.
I think this one is pretty cool. Military daycares could partner with off-base facilities, hire more workers under new bill. I think that's pretty
It's
neat.
needed.
It is definitely needed. It definitely is. And what it says here, a new bill would allow military children or child care facilities to partner with civilian daycares and increase the number of workers at military bases, addressing a major quality of life issues for military members highlighted in a recent congressional report. The bill introduced by Senator Sheehan and Senator Ernst, both members of the Senate Armed Services Committee, follows several proposals, including in the House Armed Services Quality of Life Report. Let's see, and it will as well, and it also gives them like a 15% pay bump for enlisted soldiers and privatized barracks projects.
Mhm.
That's pretty neat. Pretty neat.
Yeah, I thought that was a nice little thing to do, right? Help
Yeah.
try
I mean,
and keep morale up for one.
Oh, it's not morale, it's unit readiness. We are like,
Well,
we cannot
yeah.
deploy because so many of us don't have childcare. Or if you're dual military, like my husband had to make the decision to get out because we both couldn't be in because there was not adequate childcare. There was not
Right.
reliable childcare.
Can I ask, how did you guys make that decision on who was getting out?
My career was progressing faster than his was. I had a better career trajectory where we knew I was going to have more promotions, and he so he was an FMF corpsman who hadn't been on ship, and in the Navy you need to be on ship, but because he was a physical therapist, he kept getting land duty. You know, he deployed to Djibouti, and my career was just progressing a lot faster. And so that was kind of the deciding factor. And then I got
Makes
injured,
sense.
and then we both had to get out.
Hmm.
So it was his.
I was just curious.
Didn't
Yep.
even, yeah, that it's. I don't know how the decision's made for everybody, but most often that's kind of like the thing that I hear is kind of whose career is has that, or who can get out and find a job easier. Like there's multiple
Right.
things with it. Oftentimes, though, it is normally the woman that gets out and
Yeah.
then becomes the military spouse and watches the kids. But it's it's something we've been talking about for years of like, there is this massive need for childcare. Like it's, you want us to go to war, you want to talk recruiting, you want to talk retention, then there needs to be adequate childcare.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with you. Welcome, Tennessee Goddess. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Yeah, especially like you said, when you have that dual, if you have spouses that are both serving, but you can't expect people to put their lives on hold and not build their families,
Right.
And that's the thing. And I feel like oftentimes, it's more the female that gets the hit for that, or the like, oh, you got pregnant on purpose.
No.
What? I don't know if you know how it how it happens, but there's 2 people to make a baby. And like in the Marine Corps, like when I was pregnant, I had to fill out the form. Listen to how embarrassing this is. As like a Lance Corporal, I had to fill out this form, and on it said conception date. So the day that I had sex, and I had to hand that into my command. That's what I had to do every time me and my husband found out we were pregnant, and it had to be done within 2 weeks of you finding out you were pregnant.
What?
Why
And they go back and go, wait, weren't you supposed to be on duty at this? No.
But you can still be on duty when you're pregnant. But like, why
Oh,
does
no,
it
I
even
know,
need to
like,
go to your command? Like,
conception.
why can't I just get like a medical chit? And then
Right.
like, yeah, when it comes to the point where we need to let you know, great. But like, I shouldn't be handing a document over to my commanding officer that says I had
Agreed.
sex on this date.
Right.
Agreed.
That's like,
And guess what? It worked.
yeah.
Right? Oh. Oh, talk about like really.
Mm.
Oh man.
Oh, Willis, are you having fun yet?
I
Always.
know.
Always. So, all right.
Wrong
Next,
way. What the?
So even like after your husband was out, you still had to give that like date of conception?
Yeah, because I'm the service member. So I'm the one that like is in the military. And so
That is baffling me right now. Why
Yeah.
don't the men have to do that?
exactly. Because
Because they're not carrying.
No,
they're
because
not
they'd
getting-
give him a cigar and say congratulations, but
correct. Correct.
yeah, it's crazy. All right. So,
Thank goddess, it's day of conception.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
literally says day of conception on the form.
Yeah.
Day conceived is what
So-
it says exactly.
No, last period. No, what day
Yeah.
you make this baby?
what's up, Caroline?
Can we talk about this one? It really kind of threw me for a loop.
Which one?
Oklahoma considering offering veteran discount at liquor stores.
Yeah, I didn't even look at that one. I was
What?
like,
I don't remember getting that one.
Yeah, well, I sent them to Willis, and
yeah.
I told him whatever one he wanted to throw out there, he was welcome to.
I say he's reading some that were not on our list, and I'm like, what?
I know. And it was something that I saw, and it was interesting because Oklahoma's alcohol laws currently prohibit discounts for any group at all.
I thought that was
And-
everywhere. You can't
Maybe it is.
discount alcohol,
But and that there's no buy one, get one, or get 5 free, none of those deals, nothing, no deal whatsoever in a liquor store in Oklahoma. But now they're considering giving veterans discounts for alcohol.
Because that's what we need.
That's
and
what
like,
we
no
need, right?
offense, but
And
like,
that is exactly, Tab, that's exactly why I was like, wait, what? I had to do a double take on that.
you know what? If you want a discount on alcohol, just go to the VFW.
yeah, and not be
Right.
alone too. Like,
That was a positive.
but it's just
She said it with a smile.
I did.
that's wild.
You can't yell at me, Ty, wherever you are. That was positive.
No,
But is
that
that was like, I mean, if you're going to do any kind of a discount, right? You
Right.
have the choice to do any discount you want. That is the first one that they're going to come up with and consider. And it just was like,
Come on. How about just giving the females birth control as a reservist? Like, come on. Let's just do that. Let's start there. Like,
but
let's
this is
discount their
this-
liquor.
But this is the government in Oklahoma, not the military. So
We
Agreed.
know.
it just don't make no sense that here military members already have struggles with alcohol anyway. Let's give them a
Right.
discount so they can buy more alcohol.
And why
And
are you
let's
wasting
just-
time on this discussion as
Right.
elected officials? That's where you feel the concern of time.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
if it's a bill or legislation, so somebody had to write it, then they
Uh-huh.
have to debate it, then it's got to go to the floor, and then it's got to. So
just keeps
how?
moving.
Yeah, how much time
Yeah,
on
that's-
that?
Too
Right.
much.
So each one of you, if you had your choice, I'm going to start with Willis and Tab because they're veterans. If you had, but I do want to hear Carolee's opinion. If you had a choice on where you got a discount, what would you think that it should go on? If they're going to spend time on it and pass it through laws, what do you think is worth that time?
Holistic health, so
Ah,
acupuncture,
okay.
biocraniosacral therapy, those non kind of like Western holistic health options that are really hard to get through the VA, but have proven to have so many health benefits, not just mentally, but physically to a bunch of different ailments.
Yeah.
That it would be worth time, especially with knowing how many veterans are not within the VA healthcare system because you're not automatically enrolled in VA healthcare system. You have to enroll yourself.
I
So
like it,
that's my
Mrs.
answer.
Hartley. I
That's a
like
good
it.
answer, Tab.
That I was like, how do I follow that? I'm just gonna
Well, you know what? Just you
I
have
mean,
the
even
penis.
hunting license or a
yeah,
fishing license or
So
like
yeah,
activity.
yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
So
they
you, Willis, you have a penis. Go ahead and give that answer.
no, I agree with Tab. Like
Oh,
hunting and
give
fishing
us something
license.
different.
Well, that's where I was going. I was going to say strippers to be funny, but I was like,
See,
no,
I called it. I called it.
I'm not going to do it. But
We're
no,
looking for sponsors from Thoroughbreds and Deja Vu.
um, so national parks now you can get the lifetime pass for free
Yeah.
now.
Right.
I have mine. And to note, so the disability one gets you more benefits than the veteran one. So if you're a disabled veteran, get the disability one because you also get discounts on lodging at certain federal entities.
Nice.
Really?
Excellent. That's great information.
That's I do love that. And then like hunting and fishing license, I don't think I think if you're a veteran, you shouldn't have to pay for hunting and fishing license every year. I think you should be able to get a lifetime pass for hunting and fishing, and that could be good anywhere in the United States. It don't have to be just for your state. I think it would have to be like a discounted for a national
Mhm.
lifetime pass for hunting and fishing. You can go anywhere in the United States, hunt, fish, and I think that's where it should. I think that's where it should go.
Or
Yeah,
even
and I
state
think-
park access because state
Yeah.
parks
Right.
cost. I know
Right.
some states give it away, but again, Oklahoma, this is where it was, Oklahoma,
Yes.
where the wind
Mhm.
comes sweeping in.
Yeah.
Oklahoma, like
Come on
fix,
now. Let's
fix
hear it.
yourself.
Dang it, Carolee. No, but I think both of your answers are very pertinent to mental health.
Yeah.
You know, hunting, fishing, and holistic health. Like you're really looking at things that are going to be beneficial to the veterans. Like you instead of giving discounts on things that make it worse.
I mean, I don't care about like discounts on food and discounts on, you know, it is what it is. But
Yeah.
I think, you know, hunting and fishing, and then like the mental health aspect of it. I think that's where it
Mhm.
needs to be focused at. If there's any kind of, you know, any kind of benefits out there, that's where it should go.
Right.
And then my buddy Christopher Raymond, we all love Mr. Christopher Raymond. He says we have all the list to the benefits on the Veteran Hundo Club website. I'm sure that's where it is. But no, yeah, discounts. Like my wife will we'll go out to eat and she goes, make sure ask and see if they got a veterans discount. And I'm like, I don't really want to ask because it's not why I joined the military to get a discount.
It's not why you joined, but you deserve it because you did. Period. Like if we have it,
See, and I'm with Candace on this. I really am. I think if you've served, you know, your contract and you know, you have been, especially those who were in combat, right? I think at a minimum, I really truly think your taxes you shouldn't have to be paying taxes on things. Right now, most often it's you've got to be 100% DAV in order to get property tax assistance. But you know, that 100% isn't an easy thing all the time, right? You've got to been through a lot. But what about everybody who's gone and had PTSD? Maybe they did not actually get physically injured, but they saw all their buddies get injured or die, right? I mean, these are things they volunteered for to do to protect us. And I think that's my personal opinion. And there's people that may completely disagree with me, and that's fine. But the one that I think it would be vehicles, because transportation is huge. They got to get to their doctor's appointments. They've got to get to the VA. They've got to get to wherever. And if dealerships provided veteran discounts more than like $750 off.
Right.
Something
That everybody
significant.
gets.
I think that would be huge, because it's definitely a benefit for them to be able to purchase something
Yeah.
that's going to get them where they need to go.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you.
It kind of takes you to a sense of, so Tab, do you agree with like discounts on food and stuff? Do you ever take advantage of that? Do you ask? So you're looking at your veterans, and that's the consensus with most veterans that I see, is that they're not going to ask. It takes somebody else to either know that you are, to be in the business. But how do you two feel about an athlete or an actor or actress being out and somebody goes gaga over who they are and they pay for their meal because they're such an influential part of their life? Like, I mean, how do you feel about that? Because for me, I feel like that should be given to our veterans, to our first responders, to our teachers, the ones that are shaping. You know what I mean? Rather than paying for an actor that's making millions of dollars, where you guys were like, there's this selflessness to what you guys volunteered to do. You didn't go to sign up to play a sport. You didn't go sign up to take an acting class and be in a movie. You signed up for something that could have caused you not to come back. Yeah.
I honestly don't care. I just wish that like I could get the disability that I earned, and that fighting for disability and compensation wasn't so hard. I don't need the discounts.
You won't take your 10%. Take your 10%.
I mean, I do, when Target does it once a year, I'll take that, but it's in the app. But I'm never going to ask for it. Now, I will, like, again, with the federal, the national parks, I went there and asked for that. And it was, the park ranger, he was like, "Oh, you're a veteran?" He's like, "Well, are you disabled?" I was like, "Yeah." And he was the one that was like, "Okay, you want the disability one then, because this has more rewards to it," I guess, essentially.
That's crazy. Like, why does that have more? But that's awesome to know that, but still.
Well, it's because those who are disabled can qualify for it, and part of it is like cabins and stuff. So they're trying to make federal parks more accessible to everybody. And so having a lodging, 50% off of lodging and those type of things, somebody who has a physical disability may not be able to go hiking all day and then get home, or even hiking for a few hours. And so I am all for that, especially when disabled veterans qualify for it too. Yeah. So I wouldn't have known that if he hadn't have said that. I would have, I thought it was cool that I got the veteran one. And in the state of Indiana, there's some cool benefits, like state parks you get in for free as a veteran. And so like, I will take those opportunities, but I am never the one that's like on Veterans Day at Golden Corral getting a free meal. I don't know. It's maybe an attention thing for me. It's awkward. Like I just, it was my birthday earlier this month. And when I went to my Marine Corps League meeting, in the middle of the meeting, they just stopped and sang happy birthday. And I just turned red and was like, I can't do this. I hate you all. You're all looking at me. I can't do it.
April is a good month for birthdays.
It is.
Mine was this month.
Mine too.
Hey!
Poor Willis.
Mine's in July.
Wait. So when was yours, Tab?
April 9th.
And Carol Lee, I just missed it. It was what, yesterday or the day before?
Actually, it was the 18th.
Oh, well, okay. I was told. So
I know. And yeah, that's a whole
Mine was Saturday, but let me tell you, like my phone, it is so stupid. I have been so busy and doing so much, and like having my child here for 3 days, like I didn't have service all of one day being down on the waterfront. And like, I feel like my phone has not been near me for days. I haven't even responded to people to say thanks for the happy birthday. Like, and my birthday was Saturday and it's Wednesday. Where did Willis go?
He said he'd be right back.
July babies can get out of here.
April 3rd for Ron. Ron Wayne's birthday was April 3rd. Happy birthday,
look at all
Ron.
these Aries.
I'm telling you.
I'm a Taurus because I'm the 20th.
You're on the cusp.
Yeah.
My son, my youngest, his birthday was on mine.
Okay.
So
Aries,
yeah,
we can work together
for sure.
Right.
Well, happy April birthday, Ron.
Yeah, it's interesting. And looking at task and purpose when it comes to that for stories, it's quite interesting what they come up with.
Yeah, agreed.
Stories. And they really do make them very entertaining stories. So it's
Yeah.
not just really dry or bias.
And I was going to
Yeah.
say that I feel like very rarely have I ever read something from them that felt biased. It very like it's actual reporting, like journalism used to
I
be.
know. I missed it so much.
Well, so that's the thing I noticed going through that list. I kept opening them. I was like, wait, this is all going to the same place. And I was like, okay,
Mhm.
okay. Like, yeah, let's get on there and look at some other stories. And
Yeah, they have some neat stories.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, those were some of the ones I just happened to find, and I thought, oh, these would be kind of fun and interesting. So
well, I noticed that they were very marine heavy too.
They
I don't know
were
why that
very,
was.
they're very
Hard
marine.
telling. And Willis is like, these are the ones that I'm picking that carry.
Willis was like, "This is great."
I said,
Well,
marine.
well, some of them were not so good that
That's true.
some of them were
That we
sad.
did not discuss here.
That's okay.
Right.
You know, we had an intense beginning to this show. It doesn't always have to be gloom and yucky through the whole thing. And
Right?
you know, I already got Carol Lee's announcement of the title of the book out, so like that was a plus.
That was the entertainment for the night.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
here's a story that I don't know if I shared this story. I might have.
Let me go there.
Recon Marine killed in accident identified.
Yeah.
Sergeant Colin. I'm gonna butcher his name. Arsenal.
You want me to do this?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to.
Okay. You said this was the Recon Marine?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let's see. A Marine into a specialty trained reconnaissance unit was killed in a training accident late Thursday night near Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune, the service said in a statement. Sergeant Colin Arslanbaz, a reconnaissance Marine with the Maritime Special Purpose Force, 24th Marine Expeditionary Unit, was taking part in a training exercise in Cartier County, North Carolina, just after 11 on Thursday night, April 18th, my birthday, when he died in what the Marine Corps said was a training accident. And it's currently under investigation. And there's been no other details of what led to or caused his death.
Yeah.
That's sad. Honestly, that's sad. And one of the things that we always say, like on Home Front Sit Rep, is as long as you speak somebody's name, their memory will live on forever.
Exactly right.
And that's kind of reason why I brought that one up, because you know that's tragic. I mean, he was young. I mean, you can look at the picture. He was really, really young. Had a full life ahead of him.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it was a training accident that he lost his life during a training accident, and that's it's hard. I mean, it's really hard.
And it almost takes me like I feel like you might have a special touch with that, Willis, because you had a very good friend that not during a training, but
actually no,
was not even your friend that passed in the Marine.
Well, we were
training. It was an accident, but not a training accident.
So no, it was a training accident. We were doing a live fire range, so we were training.
Oh no, not that one. I'm not talking about that one.
Oh, which one are you talking about?
The one that got hit. That hit his head on the curb.
Oh yeah. We're not going to go there. That's why I don't want to bring up stories like that, because not that it don't need to be said or whatnot, but it's just one of those things. Is sometimes it's better not to remember some of the details.
Right, but you still got to say their name.
Yeah.
And there is another PFC Paul Anthony Varner, who is 25, pronounced dead in the Freedom Barracks at Fort Meade in Maryland on Wednesday. He was found unresponsive. So that's unfortunate. He was assigned to Headquarters Company, 741st Military Intelligence Battalion, 704th Military Intelligence Brigade at Fort Meade.
And
no information on that.
Yeah, and why investigations take so long, but I think that there is an extra challenge when you are connected to those service members because it doesn't make sense because it wasn't in combat. It wasn't this moment that
Yeah.
you kind of recognize that it would happen. It's almost it's almost harder to process.
Yeah.
Because one, in a training accident, nobody should be dying in a training accident, period.
Agreed.
And especially when you look at, and I know the investigation hasn't released with that one, but you look at how many of our Marine Corps aircrafts that are causing deaths of Marines and service members. And it goes back to what we talked about at the beginning, accountability. And where is the oversight for some of this stuff? Because service members should not be dying in training accidents. And the impact is just it is, it's different to process.
It is. It is.
This one, they said there's no indication of self-harm or foul play as evident at this point. So hard to know, with everything, all the different things that they, as military individuals, you have to take, different shots and different this, and who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. I'm not even going to speculate, but our thoughts definitely go out to all the families.
Yeah, definitely. And then here's one more that it's Air Force a cyber operations specialist who died while deployed to Anderson Air Force Base, Guam, has been identified as Senior Airman Marcus Jordan. Jordan, 28 years old, was assigned to the 38th Rescue Squadron, a Guardian Angel unit, one of a handful of Air Force units that trains, equips, and deploys the service's highly trained pararescue teams. Jordan was part of 38th Rescue Squadron deployment to Guam from Moody Air Force Base, Georgia, the unit's home base. On Wednesday, Jordan was pronounced dead at 2:30 p.m. after being discovered unresponsive. And Air Force officials haven't released any other information about the circumstances of Jordan's death, which is under investigation. Like I said, we have to say their names, and to remember them and honor them, because they are our brothers and sisters, no matter what branch they served in, whether Coast Guard, Air Force, Space Force. Granted, I don't really talk about the Space Force much because I don't really know much about them, but somebody made a comment the other day that there's already veterans from the Space Force. And I'm like, really? It's been around that long?
I even hearing the name Space Force throws me for a loop, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Well, I have my Space Force hoodie, so I got that from a Space Force recruiter. I mean, being in this community for so long. So it was something I sat down with him and I was like, so how do you feel about it? He's like, honestly, it's a big waste of money because it's what we were already doing in the Air Force. They just wanted to switch it and get a new logo and, separate everything. So they just doubled up, and he was like, but we were already doing it.
Yeah.
So
it's just another way to spend taxpayers' money, really, if you want my honest opinion. That's kind of what.
You have a really cool hoodie by it.
I mean,
I asked him if they were going to start giving out metal helmets, but
you can also go to sameflagsameoath.com and get cool hoodies too.
Very true.
Small veteran-owned company out in Katy, Texas. Sameflagsameoath.com. You can see the shirt behind me, Marine It Down. That's a co-branded shirt with Same Flag, Same Oath. Got your six culture. You can go on there and get that shirt there. At the end of the year, we're going to take 25% of all sales and we're going to donate that to a veteran charity in the state of Kentucky. We're going to do a randomizer, and we're going to select a veteran charity, and that's where that money's going to go.
I mean, he says he's talking about home front sit rep, but
yeah, home front sit rep for sure.
Does Tab have a co-branded?
Not yet.
No, yeah, they both need one.
Well, Carol Lee's working on hers. And I don't know if Tab is interested in doing a co-branded shirt, but if she is, we can get her connected with the right person.
She should.
I think she should too. So Dr. Larson, we're still working on her shirt. I don't know if it's live yet. But
Vicious and delicious.
hers is going to say vicious and delicious.
That's awesome.
Chad, have you talked to
Well,
her
that's
about
what-
getting her on your show?
I haven't. I need to reach back out to her now that I have my Calendly set up, making my life a little easier. I only record once a month, and I think that's like the additional challenge
Yeah.
with mine is like coordinating. But I like, as we were talking before we started, like there's boundaries I just had to create to make sure that I was also spending time with my family.
Yeah.
Because it, as you know, it fastly becomes time not spent.
It will suck you in, that's for sure.
And I have 4 children, 10, 8, 6, and 3.
More power to you. And
I'm
I bet you know all of their
praying for you.
conception dates.
Oh my Lord. That was messed up, bro.
Hey, you know, it's not just her. Like the whole Marines know it.
Yeah, the chain of command knows it because I guarantee. Hey, guess
They
what?
ever meet Tab's kids are gonna be like, I know when you were conceived.
TFC
buddy."
Bartley had sex on this date. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Hey, in the words of Carol Lee, it's a perfect fucking life. Like,
There we go. You know what? That's going to be Opus Clip soon.
Right. I'm waiting for that moment. And I'll be like, I don't know who that woman is.
well, I see that Tab is gonna have to leave us. Is there anything else you were wanting to talk about before you left us?
That was it for me.
Hey, before you go, that Brian Roof guy that was on Every Day's a Saturday that earlier that I was
Yes.
talking about, he's a Marine Corps veteran as well. He's a podcast host for Every Day's a Saturday. So,
Okay, I will reach out to him.
I
as
like
well.
that thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like Every Day's a Saturday too, just like 5 o'clock somewhere. But Miss Tab, thank you for coming on and hanging
Thank you
out.
for having me.
It's
Well,
good
you're
to
very
see
welcome.
you.
And we can't wait till next month. So go take
Yeah.
care of those kiddos.
Bye,
Will
Leah.
do.
Yes.
Thank you. Bye.
No, it's super cool. And then another one that you sent me, Carol Lee, that I want to talk about is Meet the Soldier Behind Tales from the Grid Square.
Yes.
I'm
Did
gonna
that
share
not look intriguing?
Yes, it does. So I'm gonna share it. And I think I put this out there. There we go. So here we go. So
Tennessee Goddess, hey, thanks for showing up tonight. Really appreciate you. Have a great night.
thank you, Tennessee Goddess. Have a great night. Tales from the Grid Square, stories of a paranormal experience in the military. Nick Orton. So it looks like comic books, which I love comic books. So he's got that one. Then he's got stories of military Grid Square Volume 2. So we've all heard about the Navy and Air Force pilots who contend with UFOs, and it's not uncommon for grunts on the ground to claim they saw ghosts of soldiers and tanks rolling by on late nights pulling security. Finally, someone has captured these stories for the masses. Nick Orton.
Hey, you got this.
I know. I was trying to.
Get 'em.
Anam de Guerre, used for his books on social media, has made it his mission to share his fellow service members' bizarre happenings through a series of Instagram posts, which eventually turned into multiple books called Tales from the Grid Square. That's exactly what he's doing. I think that's super cool. I'm gonna have to look into that and see where I can get those at because I think it looks cool as hell.
It does. And it says that he started with an Instagram account and has built that into over 120,000 people following and 2 published books.
That's
So
freaking awesome.
kudos to you, Nick.
Yeah, kudos to Nick Orton.
Yeah.
You know, so that means Candace, you got homework. You got to reach out to that guy and get him on home front sit rep.
Okay, so I'm getting ready. I found something. I was digging through all of my stuff.
Okay.
And I found some stuff from my VFW days. Let me read this. It's the cutest thing. Excuse me, let me get that out. It's called We Will Remember. It's the Memorial Dog Tag Project. And it says the sacrifice made by those who choose to protect our freedom will not be forgotten. Every life matters and every name will be remembered. It says, my name is Connor. I am 13 years old. I started the We Will Remember Dog Tag project after looking at pictures from World War II. I asked my mom how old the people were that died for our country. They didn't look that much older than me. I was 12 at the time. So many of them didn't get a chance to come home, finish growing up, get married, and have a full life. As time passes, their memory starts to fade. I wanted to do something to keep their memory alive. I make dog tags from the information of those who died during our country's wars using the National Archives and ask people to carry the tag or put it someplace they can see it. That way, somebody is saying the service member's name, praying for them, or just being actively thankful for the gift that they gave all of us with their service and sacrifice. That letter is longer. He's already done, well, and this was 2 years ago. He had already done over 10,000 dog tags. And so he puts them in like this on this little card. And so it says, over the course of our nation's history, many brave Americans have fought to defend our country and way of life. A large number of these people were never able to come home. Time makes memories fade, though, and I think it is important for these brave men and women to be remembered. If you choose to take this dog tag, please honor the memory of the person whose name is on it. Please say their name, include them in your prayers, and keep it somewhere safe. You can wear it, use it as a keychain, or keep it someplace that you can see it. If you are willing to make this commitment, please post on Instagram, #WeWillRemember, or post a picture with the dog tag on the Facebook group, We Will Remember. Thank you, Connor, age 13. If you would like to sponsor the creation of more dog tags, donations can be made to PayPal, and it is a registered nonprofit.
At 13?
Yeah, his parents like did something good. So on the other side, it says your dog tag is in memory, and this one is Sergeant Clark E. Taylor, U.S. Army, from Douglas, Nebraska, who gave their life for our country in the Korean War on 5/23/52. And so, like, I have his email and stuff on here. But yeah, so this dog tag has, the chain, it has the name, rank, where they fell, and then at the bottom, #We Will Remember. Like the cutest thing coming from a child,
brilliant.
like the mouth of a babe. And how cool would that be to bring him on one of these podcasts and spread that and really, because how beautiful is that from a child?
I think that's brilliant. And even for the families to know that, it's one thing to know within your own family, of course, the name of a fallen family member is not going to be forgotten, but to know that somebody else outside of that family knows that name, I think that's absolutely brilliant.
And this kid is going through National Archives. Now I have to say it because I have two. It looks like he started in Nebraska, because this other one is Private First Class Amador Jr. Young, U.S. Marine Corps, from Irvington, Nebraska, who gave their life in the Korean War on 8/17/50. So just had to say another name because I have it. But
and when did you get? How long did it take to get those to you?
Oh, I was at a convention, and they were there, and there was hundreds and hundreds of them, and we all took like handfuls so that we could take them and pass them out. Yeah, and so I still have two.
All right, so I'm on the website. I'm on the website.
So it's still active.
Yes, it's still active. So I posted the website out in chat. More than 82,000 dog tags.
When I read that, it was 10,000.
All of the tags from the Korean War, Beirut bombing, and about half from the Vietnam War have been finished, but there are still many more to go.
How awesome is that?
The tags are provided for free. 100% of the costs are covered by my chore money, and sponsorships and donations from amazing people and groups that want to help my mission move forward. The dog tags are provided for free, but the requester pays for shipping. If you would like to help find homes for a large group of dog tags, please email me at connor@wewillrememberyou.us. Requests for more than 10 tags will not be fulfilled through the website. So if you want more than 10 tags, you have to email Connor and they will get them out to you. And all you got to do is pay for shipping to get the dog tags shipped out to you.
Does it say on there when he started it? Because I didn't find that anywhere on my.
I didn't
So
see
after
that.
looking at pictures from World War II in 2020, I asked my
Okay.
mom how old the people were that died for our country.
Okay.
He said he was 12.
Well, when he saw the pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Now he also has some T-shirts out there, I'm sure, to help offset the cost.
yep.
That says "We will remember," and then it's a folded flag with dog tags, and it says no one can remember all of the names, but everyone can remember one name. And if everyone remembers one name, every name will be remembered.
Right. So that was 4 years ago. So he is either 16 or 17 and still doing this.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's from Hampton. Well, NH is not Nebraska.
Oh,
New
no, it's New
Hampshire.
Hampshire.
That's New Hampshire. Yeah.
Okay.
So he's from New Hampshire.
I just
That's
thought it was so awesome. And I was like, ooh, I have to share this with everybody. And
if you go if you go to meet the team at the top, you can see a picture of him.
Yeah, it's at the bottom too.
Share it.
Scroll all the way
Is
Share
it
down.
at the bottom? Okay.
Yeah. If you
share
scroll,
it.
all right. 1 second.
I'm
Pre
not fast.
2022.
I just thought that was the cutest thing. Like looking at, like I said, a child. Like you're looking at a teenage boy that is like, hold on, I want to make a difference.
So here's the shirt.
Yeah, that's the T-shirt.
Here's the T-shirt here. I wish I could make it bigger.
You can click on that. If you click on it, it'll open it up. There you go.
There you go.
I love it with the flag and the dog tag.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty neat right there. And then what the young man looks like if you
right there under meet the team.
Well, I need to go.
It's right to the right. It
I know,
says meet the team.
but
Okay.
that's a small picture. This one down here, this is the young man here. I'm assuming. Come on, go. But yeah, so that's the young man
That's
there.
awesome.
I think it's super cool. And
It
then
is. I'm so glad to hear that it's still up and going. And they went from when I saw that 2 years ago, two and a half years ago, it was 10,000. And
you got another job. You got another job.
yeah, I know. And I was going to do that before I told you guys about it, but I just got excited because we were talking about other stuff. So
No, that's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, that'd be awesome to do.
mhm.
When does your kiddo get out? When's because he's not re-enlisting, right?
Killian?
Yeah.
He's out.
He's out?
Yeah, I am his first. I've got him scheduled.
Look, he just said I am his first.
Well, I mean, you had him first. I mean, come on.
Well, but I did. I've got him scheduled. Actually, he is on the books, on the calendar. He even accepted the calendar invite. So
what month?
well, I told him if anybody else asks, it doesn't matter. You have to wait until I get done with you.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, what month are you going to have him air?
He's going to be actually. Let's see. He will be June 30th.
So go for July, Willis.
Well, that's what we're already scheduled in July anyway. So
yeah, and actually that's why I told him I'm really excited to have him out there and just told him, I said, you ready for the hard ones and hard questions? I guess.
He'll be with his mama. He'll be all right.
Yeah, I'm just super excited for him. It was on the 18th of April. So on my birthday.
Happy birthday, mama.
I know. So I got, I have my youngest was born on my birthday. So we shared the same 35 years to the day apart. And then my oldest was out his last day was the 18th of April.
How awesome.
Ron Wayne, you take care of yourself. Thank you, sir.
Ron, you have a great night. Appreciate you stopping by.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for coming on and hanging out with us, Ron. And then what's the situation with Grant? When does he get out, or what's the plan?
We don't have a date yet. The hope is by around Thanksgiving. But it seems every time I say things are great, it all goes to hell. So, I told him from now on, when I ask how you're doing, lie to me
Right, right.
because I don't want to jinx it for
Aw.
him. And so, yeah, I haven't talked to him in a few days, but he, his way of letting me know that he's still kicking is sending me Instagram links. And I'm not on Instagram at all.
Right.
So I just have to click the link, and sometimes it'll let me open it, sometimes it won't. That's how I know
I
he's
love
still
it.
kicking.
I love it. I love it. Well, I definitely need to reach out to your kiddo
Yeah,
and get him on
absolutely.
the show. Because I mean, I know he wanted to talk, but he couldn't really talk because he was still in. So
Exactly.
Not no more.
not no more.
I
But
know.
no, I think he would have a wealth of knowledge. Um, that especially with somebody just getting fresh out of the military.
Right.
I think
Exactly.
the knowledge of his time in the military and then now transitioning out
His
to the civilian
transition.
sector. I think that would be a pretty good little story to tell. Uh, and then I'm working. So my cousin, my Aunt Sherry's son, he is either a staff sergeant or sergeant first class in the Army. And he's deployed at the present moment in time. He's 7 hours ahead of us.
Okay.
So I'm trying to work it out where I can get him on the show, like do a live from the country that he's in. I can't say where he's at for OPSEC
Right.
reasons,
No, yeah.
but I want to get him.
Hmm.
I want to get him on the show and talk about the morale and stuff where he is. Um, so yeah, that's I got that working too. That's going to be like a special impromptu live when I can work out the details. And then what I'm going to try to do while I have him on is have his wife secretly come on with their kids as well. So, I mean, I
That is
know he gets to
awesome.
FaceTime them and stuff like that, but I think that would be cool just to have, her
Agreed.
come on with the kiddos and they can interact that way too. So
Look at that softy.
I can be a softie. I
He's
can.
a big old teddy bear.
So, but other than that, man, tonight was great. We do miss, the guys from Triple Threat and Rich from Misfit Nation and Dexter and Adam and all those
It's okay.
guys.
I
But
didn't
we
get
had,
that tonight.
but we had a great show. It's
And I
awesome.
didn't get fired.
Well,
I
you
know.
came
What's wrong
close.
with you, Willis?
You came close. You got muted though, didn't you?
I did get muted. He can't do
There's
that
a
when I'm
down
sitting next to
a
him.
little pitfall for not being in the same studio.
I know. He can't do that if I'm sitting next to him.
Yeah. I can't. I wish I can unplug your mic. Oh, look, it's already unplugged. But no,
I get over there and it's like now it's to the point I'm like, is my mic plugged in?
yeah. Well, anytime that she's not here, I unplug it just because I don't want to have the echo from both mics. Of course, I could be like, let's do it this way, but
Oh boy.
I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna.
Wow.
After dark.
Yeah,
No.
it's Willis After Dark.
Oh no. It was
I
a
think
great
we're going
show.
we're going down a really spiraled hole there.
We are. But it was a great show. We had we definitely went up and down and emotional and happy and funny and
Yeah, no, tonight was a great
heartfelt and-
episode. I mean,
Yeah.
it really was, and I want to thank everybody that came in and chat.
Is she starving?
No, they ain't even home yet. She's
What
probably
do you want, Grace?
because I was doing this. That's
Oh.
why.
This is radio announcement.
Willis After Dark. That's what it is. Hey, Grace, don't knock it. Ask your mama about it.
Hey. You just made her cover her face. She's
Okay.
shy about stuff like that.
Who?
Grace.
We can't see her face.
I know, but I can see what she's doing. She's doing that right now.
Probably.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So that's my oldest right there. She's um yes, she did. She talks about herself in third person quite a bit.
Yeah.
So, but that's the one that's going
Covering
to
your
go.
eyes doesn't make you not hear it, Grace.
That's the one that's going to go into the Air Force, and
FBI.
her end goal is to be an FBI agent. So,
Wow.
yeah, that's super cool. I'm super proud of her and her sister, and they're both amazing kids. They both got great grades, and they're going to do wonderful things once they get to adulthood. And
They already are.
I know they're
That's it.
amazing. And
Move forward, conquer the world.
yeah,
Mhm.
for sure.
Mhm.
Well, ladies, it's been great. And I can't wait for the next tip of the spear. I'm going to go ahead and get that scheduled for next month, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, I'm going to request that we have a continuation of my homework from last month since we only had.
Yeah,
us
I'll have
here.
you know I did my homework.
I did
Let's
too.
do it again. Double up.
Oh yeah, I have a list.
I do it every day. I do it every day.
Yeah.
I can show you text messages from where I reached out to people and checked on them, see how they were doing.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, so if you missed us last month, and since we only had the 4 of us on here this month, for you guys listening, we all have somebody, whether it's on your Facebook, whether it's in your contact list, whether they could be active duty, they could be retired, it doesn't matter, or a first responder. We all have at least one person, probably a handful more.
Right.
Yep.
Reach out, just ask them how they are. Ask them if they're okay. Is there anything they need? Or just, hey, I have ears and I'm thinking about you. That's your homework. Everybody listening.
Ask that next hard question.
Absolutely.
You have to ask the next hard question.
Mhm.
And that's the homework. Just reach out to one person.
Yeah, sometimes it's just asking a question or saying, hey, I'm here.
If it's somebody that you haven't talked to in a long time, and you know that they're dealing with mental health issues, whether it be depression or whatnot, reach out to them, ask them how they're doing, ask them how they're really doing. So you have,
Right.
you just don't go up and say, hey, how you doing, and then leave it at that and move on the conversation. Sit down, look them in the eye, and say, hey, how you really doing? Because then you'll get to the bottom of it.
Yep.
Because we all deal with demons, whether we're military, civilian, we all deal with demons, and we all do it differently. But
That's right.
all we need is an ear to talk into. That's it.
Mhm.
A lot of times, that's all we need. Or just go up and give somebody a big old hug. I mean, my buddy Ty, he gives great hugs.
Even if they're not a hugger, sometimes people just need it.
Yeah, my wife is not a
I'm
hugger.
not a big hugger.
I force hugs on Mrs. Willis all the time.
She does.
I had that happen to me. My old boss, her stepdaughter had just moved there and came in to see her. Apparently, my old boss had told her about all of us in the office. So she came in like, I mean, a bull in a china shop and this little petite little thing. And she just gives me this great big hug. And my boss was like stunned that I didn't like, I don't know, punch her or something. Because I'm like, and it's just kind of me. Give me my space. Got to have my space.
Yeah, my wife is the same way. She does not like to be touched at all. I mean, literally, I could be laying in bed with her, and I roll over and just touch her with my hand. She's like,
"You hear that, Grace? You hear that, Grace?
Stop.
That's Willis after dark."
Shut your pie hole. You're fired. You didn't know.
Goal accomplished. I did it. I got fired.
There we go. Anyway, Carol Lee, it was a pleasure talking with you again tonight, and I can't wait to see you again. And then I can't wait to see Killian's.
Try again,
Killian. But I serve with a Killian, so
which is so funny because I thought about turning that into his nickname.
You should have. You should have. You should have.
But anyway, think the beer.
Yeah. Killian's Irish Red.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. I love it. I love it. But anyway, Candace, thank you for coming on, hanging out with us. Miss Carol Lee, thank you for coming on and hanging out with us. And
Great to
like
see y'all.
it was
You
great
too.
seeing you. And like we always say, stay safe out there. We got
We
your
got your
six.
six.